Only by working together are we going to continue to move towards finishing the projects that actually solve the problem. The vast expanse of what people refer to as the Everglades. This is an area that's twice the size of the state of New Jersey, encompasses over 9 million acres of lakes and wetlands and rivers. Water flowed all the way from the headwaters near Orlando down to Florida Bay. It's a unique habitat, not just one habitat, but over 13 specific ecosystems that comprise a mosaic of different habitats that's home to over 68 endangered and threatened species. It's also home to a whole lot of people. And so we have a multi-pronged problem. It's not that water is a problem. We all need water. People need water, the habitats need water, the wildlife needs water, our aquifers need water, and our oceans need that freshwater inflow off of the landscape to keep all of our estuaries healthy all along the central and southern Florida coasts. But we have a quantity, quality, timing, and distribution problem that's been the result of decades of people moving into the landscape and using these amazing resources, but not always doing it in a way that we understood all of the unintended consequences of draining some of the landscape to make it usable for different purposes. So on the left is a satellite image that portrays the historic Everglades south of Lake Okeechobee. And on the right, the image shows the amount of development that has crept into the areas that used to be able to hold a whole lot of water. So what does that mean? It means that water used to naturally overflow the banks of Lake Okeechobee and flow southward in a very slow way. There's a whole lot of people that live in those floodplains now, and we have a lot of needs for all of that water. So historically, between 52 and 60 inches of water fell from the sky. Today, about 52 to 60 inches of water fall from the sky. But we don't have all of this floodplain for it to sit on the landscape. And we have really great flood protection. In 2017, after Hurricane Irma, we had the same amount of rainfall that caused the massive flooding in the 1940s that precipitated a lot of the flood control projects that we have on the landscape today. But we didn't have people's homes flooding like we did in 1947. In 1947, areas just west of Fort Lauderdale stayed underwater for 6 months. We didn't have that kind of flooding in 2017 because the flood control system works. What doesn't work is all of the unintended consequences of our flood control system where we're flushing the fresh water out and it's not available to the folks, the ecosystems, the aquifers that need that freshwater supply throughout the year. So it's a timing problem. So the greatest problem that I see in many of the conversations is often they start out as a myth of competition. Can we have people living here and a natural landscape side by side? We can. Can we have natural ecosystems and agriculture and ranching? We can. We absolutely can. We don't have a problem of oysters versus bass. What's good for oysters is the same thing that's good for bass. Everglades Restoration is good for the snail kite and good for the sparrow. It's good for the coasts and it's good for the lake. It's good for agriculture. It's good for the environment. It's good for flood protection. It's also good for water supply. It's good for development and it's good for tourism. It's good for our coasts. It's good for our estuaries and it's good for Lake Okeechobee. And only by working together are we going to continue to move towards finishing the projects that actually solve the problem.